everyone, welcome back to my holiday card series. I'm super excited for how this card turned out, so be sure to watch the whole video and see the final card. So I'm starting with the Fawn Winter in the Park stamp set, and I have the bench and the lamp post, and I'm just placing those on my white cardstock just so that I know kind of where I want them to be, because I'm going to stamp the background first. I'm going to use 3 of the snowflakes from that same stamp set, and I'm going to stamp those with Versamark ink and then use a white embossing powder to heat emboss those. So I'm just randomly going to stamp them on that white cardstock. First, I'm going to use my embossing or powder bag from Inkadinkadoo. It just cuts down on that static electricity so you don't get any stray embossing powder pieces on your card. Although for this one, it might not matter so much just because we're going to be covering it anyway. You'll see. So there's my Hero Arts white embossing powder. We'll go ahead and tap off all the excess and then use my heat tool to heat those. Alright, so then I have my lamppost and bench on my stamp block that I already placed where I wanted them to go. I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink and then stamp them right onto that white cardstock. Alright, now it's time to create my background. I'm going to use this mustard seed distress ink and a little Fantastics tool, and I'm going to use that on the lamp post so it looks like they're glowing. I start from the middle because then I'm going to have the most ink on my brush, and you just use a circular motion all the way to the outside, and then it really looks like they're glowing. It's such a cool effect, and it's actually the first time I've used these Fantastics, and they're really a neat product to use instead of, say, your foam applicator, because that would be way too large. Alright, then for the background, I'm going to use my tumbled glass ink. That's the one I'm going to start with, and I'm going to ink up that whole background. So working my way in from the edge, and I am working on my non-stick craft sheet. And then when I get to the yellow part, I try to avoid that as much as I can. My next color is the Faded Jeans. And again, I'm just working my way from the outside in. It just helps so that you don't get any lines or weird ink spots. So the middle is going to be a lot lighter than the outside edges. I just work my way around there. And then the next color I am going to use is the Chip Sapphire. That's a darker, almost like a purpley blue. And then again, the same thing, just working my way in from the edges. And it looks a little splotchy right now, but once I blend those colors together, it'll look nice and smooth. And then for the last color, I'm going to add a little bit of black soot, just so that it creates more of a night sky, and then it's really going to make that lamppost pop. And then before I move on to the next step, I am going to clean my craft sheet off just because it has those darker colors on there, and I'm going back with the tumbled glass, so I just don't want to get that tool dirty with the darker colors. So then I go back and blend all of those colors together. Again, I'm avoiding the yellow spots just as much as I can. And I'm actually going to go back with that mustard seed and add a little bit more just so that it really pops and is really yellow. Alright, so I'm going to take the snow from that stamp set and stamp that on a piece of white cardstock and then fussy cut that image out. And then after I fussy cut those images out, I like to go around the edges with my Tuxedo Black Memento marker. It just really makes the edge clean and look like you didn't even fussy cut it out. So I can go ahead and use my Tombow Mono Multi-Glue to adhere that down. You don't need very much of this adhesive at all. And I'll just place it right on top of the bench there. And then I'm going to cover that snow piece with more Tombow Mono Multi-Glue along with the entire bottom part of my card front there. And then a little bit by the side of the light pole and on top of the light pole. And you want to add enough adhesive because I'm going to be covering them with that Distress Stickles Dry Glitter. So you want it to be covered completely when you add it, and you definitely want to use like a liquid glue just so that it sticks, because it might not stick if you use you're not really going to use like a tape runner or anything like that, because it's not going to get the right shape. You could also use glossy accents if you don't have this, or the multi-matte medium would work fine too. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cover that with my stickles. That's the fun part. And you definitely want to do it over something because these stickles tend to be very full of static and they will stick to anything and everything. So I'm going to use my paintbrush just to clean that off as much as I can. And then we'll let that dry completely before moving on. Alright, so I can go ahead and adhere that to my white card base. And it's a little bit of a different shape. The shape that has the bench in the sky is more of a square. So there's going to be more room at the bottom of my card. It's not quite a square, it's a rectangle, but it's not the typical shape that I would use. And then I can go ahead and add my sentiment. And again, that's from the exact same stamp set. So just one stamp set for this entire card. And I'll use my Tuxedo black ink. Alright, for the background, I'm going to use my white gel pen and add all of those little snowflakes flying through the air. I saw a card that Christina Werner did with this and I loved it, so I had to try it on this card because I thought it would be perfect. It's amazing the detail that just this little touch adds to the card. Alright, you can see how awesome that background looks with all of those little snowflakes flying in the air. Alright, a couple more steps. I'm going to cover each of those light shapes, I guess, with my Wink of Stella glitter pen, and then use some glossy accents over that. And I did cut out the part where my glossy accents decided to squirt everywhere, so sorry, but you don't get to see that. But I did tell you about it, so it did happen. And then that is my finished card for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my other holiday card videos, and I will see you next time. Bye!